All right, what's going on, everybody? We're back. It's Lamb. Bahookie's here. Louie's 5 minutes late, but he'll be here. We're back on fifth down territory. But before we start the show, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to the Stadium Rant Original. If you like this content, you should subscribe to our free newsletter, which will include exclusive interviews, articles of the week, and find more great shows like this. Subscribe now on StadiumRant.com. So, got that out of the way. Now we're here to talk football for probably the next hour and a half. It's supposed to be an hour, but we run typically long, so we can get right into the news. There's been a little bit popping. We're getting into the summer months here, and things are starting to get a little bit more active with mandatory minicamp. But so yeah, Dalvin Cook, free agent. I saw today that he is not in a rush to sign. He wants to find the right fit and go to the right team. I personally, I have a feeling it's going to be the AFC East. It's either you guys or Miami. Dallas could be an option. I think Dalvin's an upgrade to Zeke at this point in their careers. Denver is also a possibility for Dalvin Cook, in my opinion, as well. Last year, I think he had rushes of 84 yards, 64. He had a 90-yard reception for a touchdown. The big playability for Dalvin's still there. Over 1,100 total yards in the season, can still be a workhorse. Miami's really interesting to me. It's scary with that Shanahan zone run stretch scheme where they just have so much speed. They could run clear outs with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and run the check down to Dalvin or A-Chain, I should say, too, as well. Yeah, I think Denver is probably the best place cap-wise currently out of those teams. I'm not positive, though. What do you think about this Dalvin Cook news, Bahookie?
I think that was a pretty good list. One that I would include, I saw Fox Sports released like the odds for which team, like how likely he was. I didn't have a chance to open it. I was busy with some other stuff. But another one, in addition to the ones you mentioned, is the Jets, AFC East. I don't know exactly what their cap situation is right now offhand, but I know that they have a 1 or 2 year window to go after a Super Bowl. And they're already putting all their chips in the Aaron Rodgers basket, and having an elite running back would to pair with Breece Hall. And I don't know, and I think Breece Hall and Javonte Williams are more or less in the same boat right now, coming back from ACLs, and take some of the pressure off of those guys. I think the Jets would make a lot of sense. Yeah, I think Miami is possible. If he goes to Miami, I think that means that you see Sylvan Ahmed and Myles Gaskin probably cut. Yeah, that money's got to come from somewhere.
Gas can ran out of gas if that's the case. Oh no,
that's a good one. But
he helped me get Jonathan Taylor in the league we're in. So
yeah,
big shout out to Myles Gaskin being the gas man for a couple weeks.
Yep, but so that it's going to come down to the money. Then there's the possibility of him coming to Buffalo and pairing with his brother James. I know that it's something that actually is really important to both of them, is their parents and their mom, like not having to choose between which game she goes to. Mm-hmm. If he plays in the AFC East, that helps because that would eliminate 2 of those. I know they really appreciated it when the Bills and the Vikings played last year, and they were able to, and I think one parent wore one jersey, one parent wore the other jersey. And I know the parents really appreciated that, and they're obviously a close-knit family. It would be cool for them to work together. But it's the same as the D-Hop situation we were talking about before we were on air about it. It's going to come down to the money. He says it's not about the money. That's what they all say. He also says that he's not going to play for under $5 million. Hey, Louie, welcome to the party, brother.
Sorry, I'm late, boys.
All right. You said 5 minutes. That was 6 minutes ago, so I am going to dock you that 1 minute somewhere down the line. But
Yeah.
thanks, Jerez. You're a beast. Thank you. But yeah, so I am going to dock you that minute at some point. But
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Deserved.
Just wanted to let you know that.
I was just trying to put off our conversation about the Bills for a little bit longer for Blake, but it sounds like it might have already started. So
he just can't help himself.
We were talking Dalvin Cook and potential landing spots. Lamb and I both agreed that the AFC East is a likely spot. We were talking about Lamb was also mentioning the Broncos and the Cowboys. I mentioned the Jets specifically because they're kind of in all-in mode right now, and if they can sign him to a 1 or 2 year deal and give him proper money and add another weapon for Aaron Rodgers, I think that would make a lot of sense. I was talking about him potentially going to the Bills, but the only way he's going to the Bills is if he ends up taking less money than he wants to take. I think both the Bills and the Jets, or both the Bills and the Dolphins, are in similar situations cap wise with their running backs, where they have them under contract, but it's like a low cost, low commitment kind of deal, and they could cut, like the Bills could cut Latavius Murray and Damian Harris like with very little dead cap. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea of having Damian Harris for like a shade over $1 million this year, and then most likely Latavius Murray is our practice squad guy for like, so to come in when inevitably one of the running backs misses time. But I don't know. Maybe if it'll make Stephon Diggs happy, bringing one of his boys back, then let's go for it. Shit.
Mr. Diva. I did hear that his representative said that he would be at the rest of camp, but I don't know why you don't show up today.
Yeah, then we'll go into the next point. Mandatory minicamp for the Bills started today. Diggs was there in the morning. He's in Buffalo right now. I was at the gym when Tyler texted me, and I was like in the middle of doing tricep pull downs, and I looked at this and I was like, he's in Buffalo. There's no way. And then I scroll through Twitter and I see literally every single outlet saying the same exact thing, and I'm like, wow, I'm about to hit these tricep pull downs harder than I've ever hit tricep pull downs in my life.
Just gonna hear the weight smacking.
Pretty much. He showed up for his medical today, and got it and took his physical. And I didn't hear them say anything about him not passing his physical. It just, he showed up and then he left. Then McDermott spoke before practice. Josh Allen spoke after practice. I felt a little bit better after hearing Josh talk than I did after hearing McDermott talk. And there's just a lot of cryptic language, as has been the case kind of for every player and wide receiver this offseason. But yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow if he's there. Been a lot of conflicting reports. Everyone, they want him there. He's been paid. Obviously, we all saw what happened at the end of the Bengals game, and he was unhappy. I had his back. I'm wearing his jersey today. He's still one of my favorite players on the Bills. I didn't have an issue with him missing voluntary OTAs like he did last year, but this is mandatory minicamp, and there's a very obvious difference between voluntary and mandatory. And if someone no calls, no shows to their job, they usually get fired for that. And the Bills do not have the ability to fire Stephon Diggs from his job, nor would anyone want him to, because he's so valuable. That's like in the sales world, that's like firing like the top sales guy at your job, like
letting Jordan Belfort go.
Yeah, maybe you don't agree with it, or agree with how he does things or how he talks to people or why he does things, but you can't argue with the numbers that he's bringing to your organization, and that's Stephon Diggs. And hopefully he comes tomorrow. He shows up to the rest of mandatory minicamp, goes to training camp. This is just something that no one even really remembers at the end of the season. But I don't know. To be continued, I guess.
I thought the weirdest part about that, that he attended his medical evaluation and then left. I'm almost wondering, like, obviously never going to hope this is the case, but like maybe there was something on there that he felt he needed to go get checked out more in depth. Because to my knowledge, those medical screenings aren't like super in depth. So if they found something surface level and they're like, hey, this could be something, I just think it's weird. I don't know why you would show up for your medical and not stay for the rest of camp. Like that part stuck out to me. So maybe someone who's more informed on how that process works could correct me, but I think there's a possibility like maybe they just saw something and he wanted to err on the side of caution. I don't know why he didn't communicate that.
Josh said in his post-practice press conference that it was something non-football related. People have been speculating about all different sorts of things. Some people are saying that it's because him and Josh weren't communicating enough. Josh is saying there's things that he could have done better. People are saying that it could be Josh's relationship with Ken Dorsey and
I actually have breaking Stephon Diggs Instagram story news currently. Nothing crazy. It just says, I just be letting people cap. If them lies help you sleep better, tell them, big dog. It doesn't seem like there's issue. Like that seems like I'm staying, but like I don't know why you got to be so cryptic about it, Stephon. Like, that feels like I'm here. Don't worry, but like I'm still bulling where I'm bulling. Well, I'm here on my terms. I don't know. So what do you guys think about that? Like I just saw that popped up on Bleacher Report. So
yeah, I just saw it too. I looked it up. I don't know. It's like, have you guys seen that thing where they talk about like how defensive ends post, and they're like a brotherhood of blood, and quarterbacks are always like, right, we on that grind, and then wide receivers are always so cryptic. They're like, those who err against me may forever be punished and stuff like that. On Diggs, like Brandon Cooks used to do it for the Texans, and I was always like, oh, I don't know. It feels like, I don't know. And it's hard people to know who he's addressing. Is he addressing what Josh said and him being like, oh, yeah, you want to tell him it was just a miscommunication? Or is he addressing McDermott being like, we're super concerned about this? You know, he could be talking to anything. Just
interesting to see it come up. You know what I mean?
Just yeah, we'll find out more tomorrow. I guess we've been on D-Hop watch. Now we're on Diggs watch for a different reason.
So you mentioned D-Hop watch. So we can bring that D-Hop watch up. So yeah, the Pats have a 2-day visit scheduled with DeAndre Hopkins. It's going to be tomorrow and Thursday. I'm hoping that they bring out like, I don't know, like what's his name? Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Bring out all the Boston guys. Get them all. Get all the guys. Bring out like David Ortiz or something. Like just I don't care if D-Hop doesn't care about that. Show him that you care about him. All right. How about that? And also show him you care about him with a $20 million deal. Like I don't even care if that's overpaying. Give him 3 for 65, 2 for 40 up front. Call it a day. Pats have the cap space to do it. Cut Devontae Parker. If you give him $12 million in a signing bonus, you can prorate his salary. It would only cost about $6 or $7 million against the cap. So you get DeAndre Hopkins in the building for 2 days. Yeah. Yep. Get Edelman in the building. That dude has a couple of great plays. Won a couple of Super Bowls. That's nice. Maybe even bring Tom. Who cares? I don't know. Now I'm just spouting out bullshit at this point. But I didn't even think we'd really get to this point. I always wanted D-Hop to be on the Patriots as soon as that news was like a thing that he wanted out of the Cardinals. So, but to be a day away from it and to like almost have like or be like this close, I don't know. Now I'm just sitting here like, you got to get it done. They had D-Hop. I think they're an actual legitimate playoff team. You're battling in that division. You're giving a fight to everybody now. Like you're I think he adds 1 to 2 wins. Bill O'Brien adds 1 to 2 wins. They had 8 wins last year. All of a sudden, that's a 12-win team. So I don't know. I think that he needs to get into the building. I don't know why the Titans even brought him in for a visit. They should be trying to lose games. Get Caleb Williams, because Ryan Tannehill, he ain't gonna be it for much longer. Derrick Henry's old. You got Treylon Burks. You're gonna need another piece to like be a foundational piece of that offense. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on D Hop on that. We've kind of talked D Hop a lot. What do you guys want to talk about or say about that?
I would just say I think the Titans brought him in and are contemplating him because I think you spent a high enough draft pick on Will Levis that you kind of have to see what he is. So I understand the sentiment of like a Caleb Williams sweepstake, right? Generational talent, like we talk about Trevor Lawrence. But I just don't think you can spend was it 35?
Yeah, give or take.
Pick somewhere in the top of the second, top 5 picks of the second. They traded up to get him because he slid. So I think you have to give him a manageable receiving core if you're even thinking you're going to be bad enough to be in that sweepstake. Because you're sitting there, right? Maybe you don't get him because the Cardinals are going to be bad. Maybe you're sitting there talking about Drake May, and you have to actually know if this guy's going to pan out or if all those negative comments are true. So I think the D Hop to Tennessee makes some sense from that perspective. I don't think as a roster they are going to want him. I don't see the cap need or space, and I definitely don't see the fit very well. But he played with Vrabel, so I don't know, maybe.
Actually, quick point on that Parker thing there. I listened to an interview of him today after practice or camp, and they were asking him about DeAndre Hopkins, and he was basically like, "Yeah, I'm just focused on the guys in the room. I'm just focused on the guys in the room." And it's like they asked him one more time. They're like, "Do you know him?" He's like, "Yeah, I know him. Great player, good guy." And then they asked him one more question. And he was like, "Next question." You know what I mean? He was like very almost snappy, you'd say. So I think he understands that it would be tough for him to stay on this team unless they're going to cut Bourne, because one of those receivers is going to get moved if DeAndre Hopkins comes in, because I know that they're going to want to shave the money off somewhere. That's just how the Patriots operate. But him and Parker, if they both stay healthy on the outside, you have Tyquan and Juju on the inside. You have Gesicki there as well. So yeah, I could see that. Bahookie, you wanna chime in here on this D Hop action?
Yeah, for sure. They also just cut James Robinson. That was a little bit peculiar. They signed him to a 2-year deal. Was it 2 years, $4 million?
Yeah, it was injuries. Yeah, I heard it. I heard it today. I guess he just couldn't hold up on it. So that he was just.
But yeah, I think you're spot on about them cutting someone. If and when we were just talking about if Dalvin Cook goes to the Dolphins, that's it for Sylvan Ahmed and Myles Gaskin. And yeah, one of something's got to give. You know, the money's got to come from somewhere. And in regards to the Patriots getting him, I mean, it seems like the ball is in their court right now. They got him for 2 days, and they should try and have a contract hammered out by the end of those 2 days. I haven't heard any, even when D Hop was visiting with the Titans, we were already hearing about him going to visit with the Patriots. Now the visit with the Patriots coming up, I haven't heard about what the next visit is. And I know we like I was just saying, we were saying earlier, they always say they want to go to contender. It's not about the money. But then when this team's here and this team's $5 million below, it's going to be a little bit about the money. And there's a need and a want there. And Patriots were in the playoffs 2 years ago, and they really kind of wasted a really important year of max development. And the Bills went and added, Stephon Diggs, and it did wonders for Josh Allen, having a true number one receiver, and it'll take pressure off the other receivers. I don't see why they don't get the steal done at this point.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I don't think they can let him leave the building. I said that as soon as they had the visit scheduled. I was like, they're getting him in the room. They can't let him leave without the cut. Like, he needs to be signed. The only thing he can do to leave is to go pack his shit to come back to his new apartment and wherever the hell he wants to live in Massachusetts. Nicest place, wherever you want. I don't know. We'll give it to you for free. We'll make it happen. Kraft has all of the, the connections here. So, but yeah, we've talked a lot about D-Hop in the past couple of weeks. I just feel like he's the news, but we can move on to another thing here. Actually, we got one more comment. 1 sec.
See what you guys taking. Who has the strongest run game?
Ask me again on the run game after Dalvin Cook signs, because if he goes to Miami, it's Miami.
I mean, for me in the NFC, it's CMC and Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah,
it's just not even fair. He had 1,900 yards in like 12 games. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Again, like I said, Dalvin Cook depends for me. If the Cowboys sign Dalvin Cook, I think Dalvin Cook and Tony Pollard become the best backfield in the league. So as far as passing game,
Bengals.
Yeah, I think you have to go one of those elite quarterback wide receiver pairing. So either Mahomes, Kelsey, Burrow, Chase. I leave Jefferson out because Kirk is not that good. Maybe Tua, Tyreek. Tyreek wants to break 2,000 yards. He was on pace for it last year. So I'd say
after you.
I'd say one of those three. Maybe Stafford Cup.
If he's healthy, I could see Stafford Cup. I'm gonna go. AFC passing game would be Jaguars. NFC passing game is going to be Seahawks. NFC run game still going to be 49ers. AFC run game for me is going to be the Steelers. Najee Harris, yeah, they really improved their offensive line. I think Najee Harris is a really, really good back. And
JC, you'll know.
Yeah, the Eagles. No, I was about to say the Eagles. Honestly,
all the guys I listed don't have scramble QBs, and I just think not that Brown and Hurts are not a good combo, one of the best in the league, but if we're talking just sheer stats, I just think his scramble ability takes some targets away from
Eagles run game. I agree about the Eagles run game. Yeah, it'd be for run game in the NFC between the Eagles and the Niners. It'd probably give a slight edge to the Niners.
Are we going to talk about who's running week 10 when both of their glass running backs are hurt? Like when DeAndre Swift has a bad knee again and Rashad Penny tears something else, who's running then?
Jalen Hurts.
Oh, that Rashad Penny injury was so unfortunate. He was playing his ass off prior to that too.
He was. I like Rashad Penny. I think he's going to be good behind that line. And
that's the name of his game, though, is injuries, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think if by week 10 both of those backs are still healthy, I think they will be in contention for it. But I just have to see it. Like Swift concerns me. He has not made it in the league at the level of touches he needs to play at.
Now that we're talking about running backs, perfect time to transition here to Saquon. He put a 7-17 deadline on to get his deal done with the Giants.
Why don't we just rope all of this into the RB conversation?
Yeah, that's perfect.
There are all these points really kind of lead into our toss, which we'll get to. But we can talk running back now.
I don't know if that's me or not, but I'll take it.
It was for all of us, I think.
So but across the league, just the devaluation of the running back position is becoming a real issue. So like we have it written on our show sheet here as elite notes by Blake. All top 3 free agent running backs were tagged. Jacobs, Pollard, Barkley hasn't signed his tag yet, and I don't think he's technically tenured, right? So if he doesn't sign, he doesn't not.
So he that's why he's not getting fined for not going to mandatory minicamp.
Yeah, because he's technically not employed.
Because he's not technically with them.
So
but the top 3. This was like touted as like the top free agent running back class like in years, and then it was so like anticlimactic because you just saw tag, and that really, like, as we've been saying, devalued the position because nobody got paid. And that's how contracts work in the NFL is, if this guy got paid this much, then I have to get paid at least this much or more. And because now they're all playing like a $10 million guaranteed 1-year deal, that like nothing, there was no progress made. You didn't say Bengals passing game. I did say Bengals passing game. Open your ears.
No, he doesn't want you to say Bengals.
He doesn't like that you said it.
He's a Steelers fan. He's happy I said the Steelers run game.
Deshaun. Oh, talk about the Browns run game. Nick Chubb by Nick Chubb's self.
We're gonna get to Nick Chubb.
But yeah, it's interesting to me because you don't necessarily see the devaluation of running backs happen in the draft because Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs both went top 12. So it's not that the position's not valued. It's just that the longevity after rookie contracts isn't worth what other positions are. And I don't know how the league fixes that, right? Do you increase the amount of the tag to make franchise tags more appealing to running backs? Or do you shorten, this would be unprecedented, but shorten their rookie contracts, which I think would hurt their draft position? Like, there's really no way to address it easily.
Because you only get, you really, as a running back, you get that you got to make it to that second contract. You get your rookie money, and that's great. You made it to the NFL, but you're not getting paid. You don't have like generational wealth yet where you and your kids are going to be good forever. You're going to live good for a few years, but you got to get to that second contract and get paid. And GMs and teams like to like run out the clock on you with the contract. They like to try and keep kicking that can down the road with the tag, and then until eventually, like when you're Austin Eckler and you're 27 or 28 and you're trying to get that contract's not going to be there anymore. Yeah. And because how many more years do you really have? 30 years old is not that old in the world. I'm about to be 30 this year, but 30 years old as a running back you're ready for the retirement home.
Yeah, put him on the walker.
Pretty much.
Age 27 in running back years in fantasy is when I'm done with them in dynasty, give or take.
Oh, it's like running backs, it's like dog years. It's like you multiply it by 3, and that's their real age.
Blake is on the shit list. It's gonna be a long season, buddy.
Oh no!
I do like Mike Tomlin, but you're a Steelers fan, so you probably don't like Mike Tomlin. So I don't even know if that. So I don't know if that's a compliment.
Getting back to our conversation, like it doesn't even matter, right? Because Tony Pollard didn't really get that much tread put on him over his rookie contract because Zeke was still there, and then he still didn't get a contract. It's not like Tony Pollard's going to fall off the face of the earth the next 2 years. Like Tony Pollard is going to be good for another 3 years, 4 years, because he just doesn't have the wear and tear that most rookies have. He still got tagged. Yeah. So like, what's the
tags out there? Sometimes the tag works to your invention or to your advantage. A la Kirk Cousins got tagged twice and then got like the bag of all bags. I think Tony Pollard is one of the people who the bag is going to the franchise tag is going to work out for, because I think they're kind of like on that prove it to me. That's kind of how the Cowboys operate. They did the same thing with DeMarcus Lawrence, and then he ended up getting paid, I think. But at the end of the day, nobody wants to get tagged. Because there's nothing scarier to grown men than the fear of the unknown, and that's what it is with the tag, and with Dak Prescott, same deal, and Dak Prescott also got paid. So based on history, I think Tony Pollard is going to get the bag from probably the Cowboys next year, and Josh Jacobs is how old is Josh Jacobs now?
He's 24, bro.
24,
24?
yeah. He's younger than I am.
Yeah, he's got a big payday coming too.
Yeah, but I mean, so even Dalvin Cook, right, hits the free market. That's one of those guys. 5 years ago, he would have been signed the next day. Right?
Somebody probably would have given up a second for him.
Yeah. Okay. We can talk about a buyer's market too if you want, but
I'm serious. So 5 years ago, like you're right. Like that type of talent is touted. You know, it's before the Todd Gurley, like it's right in that run. Todd Gurley, David Johnson, like Zeke, like this electric running back era where you just almost think they're gonna be there forever, and then all of a sudden it's like that.
Yeah. Because I mean, Zeke's sitting on the free market, Leonard Fournette sitting on the free market still, free agent market. So it's not even like there's not good. I think any of us would make that deal, and I like my special coordinator.
Dude, get Joe Judge that out of my system, man. Bring in Mike Tomlin. Oh my gosh, yes. All right, continue, Louie. Sorry,
you're good. So it's interesting even then because the way I see the future of this, and this is pure speculation, but I think you really could see running backs demanding a load management, kind of like what NBA superstars want, right? I want a deal that guarantees me no more than this many touches per game, right? They kind of do that in the MLB some. They try and keep people on a pitch count. When your pitcher, right, you're putting him over a certain threshold, we're going to bring the backup pitcher in. So like almost saying like, I'm going to do 15 touches a game, 18 touches a game, and then I'm not touching the ball again unless we go to overtime. Like, right. And there's running backs that won't do that, but otherwise the talent at the position is going to depreciate because, I mean, you see these guys, right? Ramondre Stevenson could have been a slot receiver. The dude's electric with the ball in his hands in open space, and that's exactly what a slot does. So you're telling me those guys in high school or moving into college aren't going to say, dang, if I think I'm good enough to go pro, I don't want to go pro as a running back.
I said it to Blake before the show opened. If I'm a parent of like a potential like football player, I'm doing everything I can to get that kid to play quarterback, wide receiver, or pass rusher. You know what I mean?
We're switching baby Gronk to a defensive end.
Right?
Sorry, baby Gronk's dad. No tight end.
No tight end makes big bank like that right off rip. Like tight end's another one. Like defensive end, left tackle, wide receiver, quarterback, and then eventually cornerback. Those are the positions you want to play when you play football. Big money, premier that's what it is.
So I'm gonna open this conversation down like conspiracy theorist level holes. But I think the way the game has shifted to be less physical gives these players a longer shelf life, which has resulted in this heavy market saturation where these positions aren't valued as much. Where dudes who are really athletic and maybe don't have a natural raw talent for the game end up playing positions, and this is no offense to any of these players, right? But like safety or tight end, like you don't have to be a crazy good football player to play tight end. Got to get your hands dirty, got to make some clutch catches, but I mean, there's starting tight ends in the league that just aren't that good.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
I mean, I think the way the game has shifted where they protect a lot of players, you're trying to go out of bounds. You're not trying to take these hits. You play 4 years longer. That's fewer roster spots, right? Cascading over 4 years. That just created this saturation on these positions, and nobody wants to pay for them. I don't get another safety. I'll draft a safety in the 4th round, and they're going to start for me.
Yep, and they're probably going to be pretty good. Like if you have the proper coaching, I think coaching staff really boils down to that as well. In football, at least, it's very important. You can take guys like that, coach them up, and put them in those positions when you're paying all these other premier positions or premium positions, essentially. So, like you said, though, like 5 years ago, the running back was valued almost at a premium position. And then all of these contracts got signed at premium dollars, and running backs aren't even safe after they sign their second contract. They'll sign their second contract and then get cut a year into it. Like Dalvin Cook did, like Zeke did. Like, I mean, honestly, if the Browns don't have a great year, Nick Chubb's probably getting cut next because Deshaun Watson's contract's going to start hitting guaranteed money, you know?
I mean, so let's talk about the Bills, right? Get Blake in here. James Cook, you probably wouldn't know anything about James Cook if Dalvin Cook wasn't a superstar, right? He would be as common of a name as he is. I can't name, right, Damian Harris. You've got like some depth there. I'm not worried about the Bills.
He wasn't Georgia running back. Georgia running backs usually turn out pretty well.
Right.
But you're not. So I'm not worried. I watched Dalvin Cook in college, and I watched him run all over USF, both in Florida State. I went to the game in Florida State, and I went to the game in Tampa, and he took us to school both times, and I knew that guy was going to be making plays on Sunday.
Yeah. So, right, but I'm not worried about the Bills running back room, right? You look at it, and these are unproven guys, and you're like, and Damian Harris, who's a little bit older, limited skill set, and you're still like, this is fine. This is going to work out fine. They're going to get 1,000+ yards on the ground, and Josh Allen's going to add 400, 500 with his feet, and we're not worried about it.
No, I agree.
Like, when do you need an elite rushing attack? When you have 35, 42-year-old Tom Brady behind your line who can't pick up a 2-yard first down, but like Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, any of these dudes can scramble for a 3-yard pickup if they need to on third. So, like, I'm not running the rock on 3-and-1. So, Shane, we need a Shane's thread where, like, after I say all these crazy things where Shane would normally roast me, you guys can like read the excerpts after.
Yeah, no, we can set something like that up for sure. Maybe we just have him live adding us, starting
much love to Shane.
Yeah, for sure. We wish you were here. But yeah, the running back position, and like I was saying that at some point, I don't know if this will actually happen, but you're going to run out of people who want to actually do that for that little bit of money. Like, they're just going to go and try and play other positions, and you're going to get to the point where it's just inferior athletes trying to play running back, and there's nothing on them. They're put in a position to fail at that point. You know what I mean? So I was saying something like maybe they try and do more front loading of their contracts, or just don't sign them for as long-term deals and try not to, because like seeing that Zeke gets 6 for 100, we all know Zeke isn't getting $100 million from that, but he got like 60. Like that's crazy. If you're going to give him that, give him just the 60 over 2 and call it what it is. Don't call it 6 or 100 over 6 and make it 20 a year for all those years and then cut him after 2 years when he's made 30. Just sign him for a 2-year deal for 30 or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And just make it so he doesn't get cut, but the contract runs out. He makes his money that he's supposed to, and then it's not a bad look for the player getting cut from the team, you know what I mean? That's not
Irving.
What?
I said give him the Kyrie Irving treatment.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Give him the Kyrie Irving treatment. Year at a time. And I get or you do 2 years at a time and try and meet them in the middle at least with some sort of stability over time if they get injured and not messing up your cap so much. There has to be some sort of middle ground here.
Yeah. In 5 years, we're going to see these guys being like, you signed a 3-year contract. You get 4 home tickets for your family and free hot dogs every other Sunday. There's all of my pocket change and Bill Belichick spit in the back of your car. Thank you.
The spit's going to be worth the most out of that whole package.
Yeah, put a little cut back there to catch it.
Hold on to that, kid. It might be worth something.
Oh man, here we are on 5th down talking about Belichick's spit, and it wasn't my idea. So
If
that's
anyone
good.
wants to send me some, I bet it's worth something. So,
Oh, it definitely is.
what's your bet?
Someone would pay good money when he's gone and he's no longer with us. Someone would pay, and if you had his spit in a bag, someone would pay for
It'll be in
that.
a little vial that I wear around my neck, like Megan Fox.
I got some Hall of Fame spit for sale.
I'll pull it out of games and be like, you know who spit this is?
Dude, that sounds like a South Park skit. Straight up. It sounds like something they do on South Park, but only they try and use the spit to like reanimate him or some shit like that. That's just a Matt Parker idea. Don't worry. But yeah, Trey Parker, Matt Stone, my bad. God, they're the same person. I think Josh Jacobs is out of LA. I think that Barkley very well could be on his. I hope Barkley stays in New York. I think Daboll's a really, really good head coach and puts his players in a position to succeed. And I think that he puts Saquon in a good spot. So I'd like him to stay. But I will say this: I heard on this podcast I was listening to. I forget which one it was because I was at work. But through all three regimes of the Giants since like Eli Manning, they've had people basically leaking out that the player wants more money than the player actually wants to put the player in a position to be like that. If he asks for more money, he looks like a dick, because like it happened with Eli. Eli was in position to be the highest paid player in the NFL, like because Brady wasn't taking it. The other dude was Flacco at the time. Like it was really Manning's turn to get the bag there, and then somebody leaked out in the Giants organization. They're like, Eli wants to be the highest paid player in the NFL, and then made him look like shit. And then Eli took a smaller deal to look better.
Which now it feels like every player does it, and we're just like, oh yeah, like Justin Jefferson wants to be the highest paid, sure. Jamar Chase can get his bag. He's like, I want $2 million more than him. We're gonna be like, okay,
yeah. They're just like, as long as people don't care as long as they're the highest paid player in like everything is resetting the market. Like, why does everything have to reset the market? You have the market for a reason.
Yeah. Well, Patrick Mahomes has to get paid enough to bail his brother out of jail every other day. So he's going to have to be highest paid pretty soon. We got you, Jackson. I'm open for contract negotiations.
Mahomes has a stipulation in his contract that he can't dip below the top 3 highest paid quarterback in the league. He gets it restructured every time. It comes from the same $500 million, but it moves the money around. So he's the 3rd highest paid quarterback in the league at all times. But Austin, I totally agree with you about the offensive line type thing there. I mean, yeah, you run into your Bijans, your Saquons, your generational Derrick Henry type of players. But offensive line, they really, really impact that. I mean, I was rewatching the Eagles Lions week 1 game on the all 22, and I'm watching DeAndre Swift just run through holes that are this wide. It's not that hard to hit a hole like that when you're running through 10 feet of space. Makes one dude miss on the second level. It's a 30-40 yard rush. You know what I mean? So that is so true. If you get 2 feet of space in your offensive line, it's going to be a lot harder for you to do anything, no matter what your talent level is.
Yeah, it's for sure. The game's changed a lot since the beginning days of the NFL, but one thing that has not changed, that Vince Lombardi said, the game is won in the trenches. And we saw that was really the main thing that I saw in the Bills-Bengals game, was that the Bills were getting blown off the ball on both sides, and then they were both the offensive line and the defensive line, and that's where we've seen a lot of teams really starting to invest. I feel like it's taken whatever Super Bowl we're at now, 50 some odd years for teams to really start to figure it out. But
the Niners went to this championship game. Like it felt like almost every year they were favored to go for like 4 or 5 straight years, because they had just every first round pick was like offensive line or defensive line or offensive line or defensive line. And they would get these good skill position players and develop them, right? Kittle, Debo, and that helped. But I mean, Dre Greenlaw, Bosa, McGlinchey, they had all these dudes, and it was just like they just pounded all game long. And like very few players stand up to that kind of wear and tear anymore. Plus, they had the second best left tackle in the league in Trent Williams.
So I think we can move on to this Hall of Fame debate, but I don't think that this is quite. I feel like this is favoring one side. I thought we were gonna do Henry Zeke. I mean, we can do Gore Peterson or Zeke Chubb.
It on the fly.
I think Gore AP to me is an easy one for me. Like
I agree. That's the side I'd be on.
Yeah, I think everybody would be on that side. I think where it gets interesting is talk about peak talent level. Would you take Frank Gore Peterson or would you take CMC Henry? Like, both at their peak talent, which backfield would you take?
I'm still probably taking Gore AP. I mean, bro, Adrian Peterson was Derrick Henry and CMC put together, pretty much, in my opinion.
Adrian Peterson, best season, he ran for 2,097 yards.
Almost, it was 9 yards short of the record.
Yeah, something like that. And then, let me see. What was CMC's best season? We're doing all that quick statistical analysis out here, only on fifth down territory.
And that was the year after he tore his ACL.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's a superhuman.
Sicko.
He's superhuman.
That was in the modern NFL. That was debatably the best season ever. Loved having Gore as an Eagle for a total of 30 seconds.
He definitely bounced around there.
Yeah, and what really is going to make it hard for any of the current running backs to beat out those two is what we've been talking about this whole episode. Those guys got to play a full career and got to play into their old age. I don't know if we're going to see how many running backs we're going to see play that long as both of those guys did.
I mean, bro, Adrian Peterson was still fire 3 years ago on Washington. He was still trucking people. He was that dude had thunder thighs for days. Are you kidding me? Like that dude ran and it felt like it was just a stampede of bulls running around. Like honestly, like he was what Derrick Henry kind of was, but in a smaller shape. You know, and I think that one's pretty easy to me. I mean, Gore has easily one of the best Hall of Fame resumes in football, just of longevity and what he was able to do with the running at one of the toughest, as we have said, literally it's the most grind you down position in the NFL, probably at running back. So he did that for what seems like 15 years, which is insanity to me. But I think we get a little closer here on a Hall of Fame debate between Derrick Henry and like Ezekiel Elliott, because at their peaks, I'm pretty sure Zeke won Rookie of the Year, right? He came out right off rip and started really well. He came out, won Rookie of the Year, then he had another like 1,500 yards after that year. Derrick Henry took like 3 seasons to kind of get going. Everybody was like, why is this guy not getting the rock 300 times a year? And everybody else on the Titans were like, I don't know. And then Mike Vrabel showed up and was like, yeah, we're just going to make people really sorry that they met Derrick Henry like ever in their life. So after that, he became King Henry. And I think that he might be more polarizing. I think Zeke might have been a little bit more consistent throughout his entire career. What do you guys think here?
I think it just depends on the style you want. I would argue that Zeke was a little more shifty in his prime than Henry ever was. But I'll also say Zeke probably has a better offensive line over the course of his career than the Titans did. Luan was good there for a couple years, but the rest of their line wasn't super notable. Mm-hmm. And, you know, how many stills do you have of Zeke throwing a dude at his wife in the stands, you know? I think those moments count for something, right? Like,
Derrick Henry, Josh Norman, and Josh Norman's wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
like,
all of them.
Put that man in a wig, he'd do it again. Just bam.
That dude could bench press me with his one arm, like easily. Just see it. You just got tossed across the room.
Now, as far as Hall of Fame goes, I think it's hard because to me, it's hard to gauge running backs without team accolades, and neither of those teams have really won anything crazy lately. I think the Titans almost made it to the AFC Championship, or they did.
They did once. They lost to the Chiefs.
And they lost to the Chiefs, okay. That game should have been Titans-Texans, by the way.
I remember, but it wasn't. Don't worry.
I'll never forget.
That was with Bill O'Brien.
Fun fact, every team to beat Josh Allen in the playoffs in his 4 playoff appearances have lost the following game.
I love that we can say all 4 teams that have played Josh Allen in his final game of the playoffs because he's lost everyone so far. So
that was a tough dig from a Texans fan.
Look, we're just
where are you firing these arrows from, bro?
Let me hate.
How many playoff wins does Deshaun Watson have?
I don't know. Ask the Browns.
Right
He's
now,
got one over the Bills, doesn't he?
He does have one over the Bills. That's a fact.
JJ Watt, Ring of Honor. I hope they play that clip of him sacking Josh Allen.
He did.
Do you want them to play any of the clips of Tom Brady throwing the ball within 2 seconds and JJ Watt looking at him like, dude, you can't do that?
I want them to play the clip of Tony Romo somehow juking JJ on the ground. Cowboy fans always play. They're like the real best team in Jack. Where's Shane? Come on, man. I got so many Cowboy digs tonight.
You're the one saying you didn't dig the Cowboys. You dig the Cowboys.
The one athletic moment of Romo's career where he steps forward in the pocket. Anyway.
But yeah, so
well, we're almost at 8, so we should we got 5 minutes to go.
We just can't get this under an hour, I don't believe.
Can't help ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, good. We're pretty much consensus on the toss. Adrian Peterson is a sicko. All these guys we're talking about are sickos.
I genuinely might take AP over Frank Gore, Zeke, and Chubb. Like if it was AP one side, Prime, and those other 3 guys on the other side, I would take AP and run them all game.
Yeah, you're really not going to be able to stop much of it either. Like,
no.
honestly.
Yeah. But we can move on to the dissecting divisions, and I feel like we're going to talk long. Usually the impact block is short, but I feel like today it might take a little bit longer.
Well, we got to shout out the best show for all your gambling, gritty gamblers, all about cashing that ticket. And you know Stadium Rant's got you covered. Our gamblers that.
Isaiah Rogers will sponsor you.
Isaiah Rogers will sponsor you, right? Yeah, and you know if he had these lines that Austin's been dropping, maybe he'd be able to afford retirement. But Austin and Carlson always getting after it with the big plays Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m.
Here's a little sneak peek of their intro.
I bet I can change the odds for every bookmaker in the country.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Yeah. Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Yeah, definitely check them out if you want to win some money. Those tickets you saw cash, those are some of ours. You know, we do cash those tickets, so it's okay over at the Gritty Gamblers. Check it out. But yeah, so we're on dissecting divisions now. We're gonna do the AFC North. This seems like a pretty hotbed of topics here. Here in the AFC North, it seems like every team is very, very at least competitive. We could start with the Bengals. My record for the Bengals, I would say, here, let me just get their the handy dandy schedule grid out. I mean, I'd probably gonna put them at between 12 and 13 wins currently, before looking really deeply at their schedule. And they got Cleveland. Yeah, I mean they could very easily start like 6-0 here. Probably maybe lose to Baltimore in week 2, possibly. That's a possibility, but they get their bye. They have a great game against San Fran week 8, depending on the quarterback for San Fran. Yeah, so I'd say 12 and what, 5? There's 17 games in the schedule. I hate how they do that to us now. It's just like how many games are there? Like you keep changing them, you keep adding some. Um the game to watch, best game on the schedule. I mean, I'm not going to take Blake's. I don't know a revenge game off rip right this second for you. Louie. So I am going to go ahead and pick Jacksonville week 13. It's Trevor Lawrence, it's Joe Burrow, possibly two of the studs of our of the future. I mean, I know it's Mahomes and Allen, but this is like 3-4 years removed from that, so it's another step in that generational talent pool there. Both teams have wide receivers 3 deep, good tight end, great running back, good offensive line. I'm expecting just fireworks in that game. Most polarizing player this year for the Bengals is probably going to be I'm going to say Chase Brown. Their rookie running back. If Joe Mixon gets into trouble, gets injured, kind of fades out of their game plan, that's the only guy that's behind him currently. It's, P. Ryan went to Denver. They didn't sign anybody else. I liked Brown coming out of the draft. Sure-handed runner. One of his big things. He's not going to break away, but he's going to give you solid consistency, and that's something that the Bengals value. So he's someone that could come up in like week 6 or 7 if Mixon has some more issues legally or gets injured and really steps up for this team, kind of like P. Ryan did. And I think that's an underrated player that could be pretty polarizing this year. One hot take. T. Higgins drops out of the top 18 in wide receiver finish for fantasy. So, and that's not a dig on T. Higgins' talent or anything. That's just really an appreciation of Jamar Chase's, because I just think that he's going to demand like 220 targets, maybe even more than that. The guy is just constantly open, constantly creating separation, and he is their big playmaker. And Higgins is kind of probably fall into that number 2 range a little more than Chase does, than Boyd does if Chase stays healthy the whole game. So that's my take, that Higgins kind of falls off in the eyes of many, like around the league, I would say. What do you guys, who wants to go for the Bengals?
I go next. I got my stuff ready. I've been 13-4. I think they lose one of the Ravens. I think they lose Chiefs at the end of the year. Chiefs always somehow play fantastic. They either lose to the 49ers or the Bills back-to-back weeks. I think that's a tough back-to-back matchup. So I think they lose one of those. And then a random division game, I think. So put them at 13-4. My hot take, or most polarizing player, I'm going to go Orlando Brown Jr. They kind of made a big move to give an acquisition for him. That line's been a problem for like 3 years. I feel like every offseason they sign some big name to it. It finally kind of needs to work. I want to see Joe Burrow with 5 seconds, 6 seconds to throw comfortably in clutch moments. My hot take is that Joe Burr wins MVP and Chase finishes the season as wide receiver 1 in yards and receptions, but not touchdowns. And then my game to watch is going to be the Browns finale if the Browns are chasing a wild card spot. Because I think the Bengals are going to be hot on the heels of locking up maybe the 1 seed this year. So I think the Browns will have to kind of like fight these reigning champs for a spot at a wild card.
I like that a lot. That was quick, concise, and sweet. We love that. Bahookie, hit it.
Yeah, I agree with most of the things you guys have said. So this isn't going to be a super interesting take. 13-4, I agree with that record. Hot take. I think we're talking by the end of this year. We're talking about Joe Burrow as QB1. Most interesting game, Kansas City. That's my game of the year. Game of the year. Week 17. I think that's going to be the one that we're looking at. Probably the 1 seed for, and I honestly can go either way. I think it's going to be a field goal type game. It's going to be like a 31-34 game. You probably a last second field goal to win it. And yeah, I think it's going to break down more or less how we're expecting, barring injuries. I think what it's going to really come down to in the AFC, unfortunately, is who is of those top 3 teams, Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, who's going to be healthiest at the end of the year. But I think I'm expecting Bengals 1 seed, Chiefs 2 seed, Bills 3 seed going into this year. Most polarizing player has got to be Joe Mixon. I like that you picked his backup, Lamb. That was a good selection. And honorable mention. I don't know offhand who's replacing Hayden Hurst and Jesse Bates.
Irv Smith Jr.
Irv Smith.
What's up?
Irv
Who?
Smith Jr.
Irv Smith. Okay,
He's from the Vikings, right?
He was with the Vikings last year.
Good talent. Stay healthy.
There's going to be some decently sized shoes to fill for those guys. Would be my honorable mention. Did I cover everything?
Yeah, I think you did. You can rip right off on the Browns now if you'd like. We can go back the other way.
All right. Yeah, this is going to be where it's going to get more interesting because, all of these teams are going to be in wild card contention. Browns, I remember most interesting game for them I had was week 6 coming off of their bye week. They get the 49ers. And that is going to be a real prove it game because they will have at that point. The AFC North all play each other in like the first few weeks of the season, and those are going to be some of the. And I've been picking a lot of divisional games as like my games to watch for the other divisions, kind of because they're lower divisions, and like I think those are going to be some of their winnable games, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the first few weeks of the season shake out. We're going to see some of these AFC North teams with records that are lower than we expect them to because they've beaten up on each other. But it's a now or never year for the Browns. They sold the farm for Deshaun Watson, and they got to start producing now. That the Jets and the Browns both like really need to like start winning games now. And what most polarizing player, again, that's got surprise, it's got to be Deshaun Watson. Is there a more polarizing player in the NFL than Deshaun Watson?
That might be a good toss for next week.
Depends if you're a female masseuse or not.
Yeah. I don't think I need to explain why. I think we all know why. What else do hot take about the Browns? Hot take that I don't think is that hot of a take is they're gonna by the end of this year they're gonna be wondering why they gave up so much for Deshaun Watson to be on the outside and to be on the outside looking in when it gets to the playoffs. I think that the Ravens are going to be the team out of this group that gets a wild card spot, and I think the Browns and the Steelers are both going to be like that 9-8, 8-9 kind of range, and just outside of playoff contention. So then there's my record for you. 9-8, 8-9, depending on how some of these games shake out. Maybe Deshaun Watson gets back to being what he was with Houston, and they can be a 10-11 team, but the division they play in, the conference they play in, them being the Browns, not buying it.
The biggest thing there is that they are the Browns. So, Louie, you wanna hit the Browns here?
Yeah. I'm gonna keep it short again. I got them 10-7, a little bit higher than Blake. I think they get a couple lucky bounces. I think more defense than offense. Elijah Moore is my most polarizing player. I think they traded for him a second round pick. So, nothing crazy, but still high pick. I think he's got to pan out, show some flashes, be a really good deep threat for them, take some stuff off of Amari Cooper. So I think Elijah Moore has to get 800 plus yards this season. Like, you need that. And then Deshaun Watson finishing outside top 10 QBs. Actually, I'm going to go top 12 QBs is my hot take. Sorry, Browns fans. I just don't think he'll quite have that pizzazz. I think he'll return to form more than he was last season. But I think a lot of the timing of defenses is just going to be a little lingering. And I think you'll see him throw more interceptions than you would like. He's going to turn the ball over because he likes to play hero. And I don't think he's quite as in rhythm as he used to be. And then my game to watch, same one for the Bengals. Finale, chasing the wild card spot. I think it will evade them by one heartbreaking loss at the end of the year. And I think that's going to come from a Jamar Chase burner on Browns corner. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna put the Browns like right at 8-9. I just don't really trust Stefanski all that much. I'm gonna trust Tomlin to get that over that 500 and have a winning record yet again. But I do see some winnable games there. My most polarizing player on this team is going to be Zadarius Smith, one of their new acquisitions. Myles Garrett always does his thing. He's a game wrecker, but he can't do it alone. So they brought in Dalvin Tomlinson, who I like, who should help with their run defensive issues. Not great. He has issues, but better than what they have. They add Zadarius Smith now on the other end. If he can kind of reach what he was doing in Green Bay, be a double-digit sack guy or close to it, with Myles Garrett putting up 15 sacks and a bunch of tackles for a loss, being a game wrecker. Like you said, Louie, I think there's more defense than offense on this team. So yeah, he's my most polarizing player. My hot take is that Denzel Ward comes back to form and is a top 10 cornerback again and kind of gets that recognition, because I think that injuries have hit him hard. I think he was one of the better lockdown man-to-man cornerbacks in the league before his injuries. So if he can kind of regain that form, that helps that defense so much. Best game on the schedule. I'm surprised you didn't pick this one, Louie. It's pretty easy to me. It's at Houston.
we already did it last year, which is why I didn't pick it.
Okay.
Right? It's not first revenge game. It is a revenge game, but it's kind of already happened.
So
and I felt biased. So
at this point, I'll give you that. But if, let's say, Watson kind of looks good and CJ Stroud kind of looks good at that point in the season, so it's like here's what we gave up to get, to get this guy, and it's just, it seems like anytime they're gonna play each other, that's gonna be something going, for me at least.
what week do they play them?
16.
Okay, that is a good game. It's at the end.
In Houston.
Texans out chasing a spot, but looking to play spoiler against their old
Yeah.
QB. Yeah, I could see it.
I like it. I think that's a sneaky game for
I do. I like it.
Then that's it for them. We talked Browns.
I want to insert one quick note on the Browns I forgot before we move on.
Sure.
I think it's sad, right? I'm gonna go after this GM a little bit. I think it's sad that we really aren't talking about any of these draft picks having like a help to this org. I think their first pick was Cedric Tillman, wide receiver out of Tennessee. I want to say is their first. Someone hit me up in the comments if I'm wrong. it's a crowded wide receiver room now. You got Elijah Moore, you've got Amari Cooper, you have Donovan Peoples-Jones, you have David Njoku. Is that guy even going to get time? Right? He's more of a slot guy.
I like Tillman. I actually like Tillman a little bit more than Hyatt coming out of Tennessee. I thought he was a little bit more of a complete player. I think Hyatt's more of a field stretcher. I do think that him and Donovan Peoples-Jones do a lot of similar things.
Yeah, one of those guys is going to be the odd man out, and I just think Peoples-Jones is honestly too good. Like
I like Peoples-Jones a lot. I think he's an underrated player. I think he's tall, has good hands, good red zone threat. Good.
He's got great contact balance, which I think is really underrated. And I think he's gotten that from his experience as a punt returner. Right, initial contact, you're playing through that. So old memory didn't let me down. Neither did JC. Shout out JC. You know, I don't know. Like, one of the things that also worries me about the Browns' future is I didn't feel like they drafted for future value, but I also don't feel like they drafted for win now. So I don't know what they did.
Yeah, I
drafted a receiver that might not even get playing time. You reached on a DT at one point. Like, it feels like they know they're all in and they don't think they have the hand to win. And they're just kind of like sitting at the table trying not to let someone know that they started. Like, they went all in and then they looked down and they thought they had a pair, and then that other king slides out and it's a queen and they're like waiting for the run. So yeah. So we'll see what happens.
So with the Ravens, I'm gonna put the Ravens. I think they're gonna go 11-6. I want to put them a little higher. I don't think I can, though. Again, with the division and the conference that they're in, I'm looking at their schedule. They got game 2 against Cincy. I think game 5 against Pittsburgh is going to be tough. Detroit week 7, that's a tough game. Seattle week 9 is going to be tough. If Matt Stafford's healthy, they play the Rams in week 14. That could be a tough game. Jacksonville, San Fran, Miami, Pittsburgh. That's actually a gauntlet going after their bye. Week 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's looking tough for them. So I could see them losing 2 out of 3 of those games, but starting hot, doing a typical Ravens, like go 8-0 and then lose their like next 3 games and then win 2 and then lose their next 3 or something like that. Most polarizing player on this team. I'm going to go J.K. Dobbins, I think, coming year 2 off of the ACL tear. Running backs always look better year 2 off the ACL tear. Again, unless you're Adrian Peterson, you were just built in a lab like a robot. You don't come back and just immediately produce at your former self. So coming into year 2, I think he started looking better towards the playoffs, and when they're towards the end of the season last year, started looking like the player they drafted, the one that we all kind of bought into before his injury. And with the way they run the ball, that run game, their offensive line, if you add Dobbins 800 to 1,000 yards rushing onto that type of offense, it's just a really dangerous weapon to be putting there. One hot take. I would say that Isaiah Likely is almost like on the same level as targets as. Actually, I don't like that one. I'm sorry. Nope. I take it back. Take that one back. Let me go with Kyle Hamilton as a defensive player of the year candidate. Let me go with that one. Yeah. I like that one better than the Isaiah Likely one. There's too many mouths to feed on offense. Their defense needs a true star. I like Kyle Hamilton. Louie does not like my take at all. Grotesque take for me to Louie. But it's okay. We'll see when I'm right. And yeah, best game on the schedule for Baltimore for me. I'm gonna go week 17 against Miami and redo that barn burner. So yeah, take my grotesque take, and I'm gonna take your game away from you. Haha.
I hate going in the middle.
So yeah, that's my game of the year, or not game of the year, very well could be, though, depending on where these two teams are. It was one of the games of the year last year in week 2. I'm pretty sure it was week 2. Insane comebacks, just crazy. The amount of speed on that field in that game is just it's unconscionable. So yeah, that's my Ravens. Here you go, Louie. Take it on. I was trying to make my take hot, man. Hot. Not milk warm.
I've got a couple hot ones coming up here.
Right.
So I have the Ravens going 11-6, slightly better than the Browns. I do think their schedule is not so much, but tougher, really, the way it's built than anybody else in the AFC North. So
Yeah.
Ravens fans, it's not that I don't believe in Lamar. I just think you guys got the shaft with your schedule, hardcore. My most polarizing player is OBJ. Pretty big contract, supposed to be a locker room leader. We're going to need to see OBJ be reliable for Lamar this year. I don't think he has to put up crazy numbers. I want to see first downs from OBJ, right? You need to be that guy.
Games played.
Yeah, I want to see 17 games played plus games. My hot take here is Mark Andrews falls off and isn't even in the conversation for top 5 tight ends this year.
I almost stole your hot take with the Isaiah Likely news, but
here's what it is. I don't think Isaiah Likely is the cause. I think he's some of it. I just think they finally have a good receiving core, and Mark Andrews has benefited from being basically the best receiver on that team, playing in a slot position as a tight end. So fantasy, I think he's a sell high. If you're in Dynasty, I would sell now. And I don't even think he's in conversation for top 5 tight end this year. And my game of the schedule for the Ravens after the Dolphins game, which has already been taken. I'm going to go Chargers. I think a good old Lamar Herbert matchup. Some elite wide receiving cores, pretty good defenses if the Chargers can get it together. Huh?
Battle for the 5th seed.
Battle for the 5th seed. There you go. Yeah, and I think it has playoff implications too. So I think that's a good one.
Sorry. One quick thing here. They go to LA. They're at LA week 12. They have a bye in week 13, and then they come and play the Rams at home. I don't like that. I feel like
that's what I'm saying. Like Ravens got shafted on that schedule.
Yeah, that seems beat to me. I don't know. I feel like you play both LA games out there. I think I don't know.
I don't know if any of you guys have met a Baltimore fan. Loyal fans, man. And there are people who would have stayed out there for an entire week to go to both games if they had put them back to back. So
I thought that's how games typically were made, or the schedule was made. You get the LA games, you put them both back to back so the team can chill out there. I will say that it's not in LA for the Rams game, but having them back to back after your bye week just seems beat to me. Sorry, Bahookie. I didn't mean to cut into your time there.
Oh, good. Yeah, you guys stole a couple of my picks. OBJ and the Dolphins were both my guys. So
we all like Dolphins. Must watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they find a way to stream it live. And you guys can hear a commentary or something.
Up until last year, when Tua had that miraculous comeback, the Ravens have pretty much had the Dolphins number historically. That's just and I'm friends with a lot of Dolphins fans, and and a lot of the time, the Dolphins, when they're finally starting to catch momentum, and there's expectations. The Ravens are and the Titans are two of those teams that they're always run into who are just solid, and then they fucking crumble. And that's what I want to see happen to Dolphins fans this year. I want them to be right about to clinch playoff berth, and then I want the Ravens to just smack them in the face and say,
hard out.
They are who we thought they were.
The Heat get killed by the Nuggets, and then he wants the Ravens to destroy your playoff chances. So take the voodoo doll away from Blake.
Anyways, so I'm going to have to pick a different game. So I will go with the Lions. I think it's going to be a sneaky good game. Ravens Lions. It's mid-season. I think that's just going to not really one that you traditionally think about AFC, NFC, but I just feel like that's gonna be a really good game.
Didn't what's his
Um,
name hit like a 65-yard field goal to win the last one?
I think it was 67.
Yeah, Tucker
exactly.
hit. Yeah, that was crazy. They had like 23 seconds left, and the Ravens got to like the 43, and he kicked that 67-yard. You're just like, of course the Lions lost that.
66. We split the difference. 66 yarder.
But it's just like, of course the Lions lost that game when you're watching it. Like, why wouldn't they off a 66-yard field goal? So yes, I totally agree, Bahookie. Must watch TV. But yeah.
So most polarizing player, yeah, I agree about OBJ. That was my pick. So I will go. I was just gonna say that I think that Zay Flowers is gonna turn out to be one of the better rookie wide receivers because he's not gonna have some of the pressure on him that some of the other ones will. So I don't know if he's necessarily polarizing because he's not like a rookie quarterback where they're always going to be kind of polarizing, but kind of my backup to OBJ. I'm expecting good things out of him. My hot take, I think with a proper passing attack this year, Lamar goes over 4,000 passing yards for the first time in his career.
That's MVP numbers from Lamar if he rushes like he has been.
Yeah, I would expect the rushing to go down a little bit, because they don't need him to. Maybe I'm wrong about that. The Ravens
It's a different offense too with Monken instead of
very good traditional rushing attack, and Dobbins is healthy, but I'm expecting Lamar to have the most passing yards in his career. That's my hot take. Record prediction, I'm right there with you guys at 11-6. I think that the Ravens are going to be the top wild card team here this year. What am I missing?
No, that's it. You can go into the Steelers.
Steelers. All right. Most interesting game.
Listen up.
Steelers. What's up?
I told Austin to listen up.
Oh yeah, Austin.
We're smack his team a little bit. Get after him, Blake.
Yeah. Most interesting game for me, December 7th against the Patriots. I think that is because these are two teams who are kind of in a similar situation right now, where they were the powers and the class of the AFC East for the majority of our childhood, and now they're like fringe playoff teams at best, and they're gonna be, and it's towards the end of the year, and it's gonna be a meaningful game for both of those teams, and I think this has a Mike Tomlin dub written all over it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe D-Hop pulls one of these as time expires on him.
Nelson Aguilar did it to him last time.
Nelson Aguilar
that did the pitch right to Chandler Jones, or
we're talking about the Steelers game, not the Raiders game. Be quiet over there.
Sorry.
Yeah. So that was one that stuck out on the schedule to me, is because that's going to be a big game for both teams. That's going to be like a fight for that 7th seed spot, which I think they're both going to ultimately fall short of. Maybe it ends in a tie. And anyways, moving on. I'm having too much fun with that one.
Okay.
Most polarizing player on the Steelers. I don't want to say Kenny Pickett, but Kenny Pickett.
Good job.
Yeah, because I've got him on one of my dynasty teams, and I'm hoping he's going to take the next step. He looked pretty average last year, and you're only going to go as far as your quarterback's going to take you, and they're in a tough division and a tough conference, as we're going to continue to say for all these teams and every AFC team. And I don't know. It's a sophomore year, got to take a step, and we'll see. Record prediction. I think it's got to be 9-8. But Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, and I'd be stupid to predict for them to have a losing season until I do. Louie, that's probably your hot take right now, isn't it? Then Mike Tomlin's gonna have his first losing season. I see it written all over your face.
Dang.
But it's possible. The division they're playing in is never. Even Mike Tomlin has never played in a division this solid as he is this year. So I could see it being this year, but I'm still going to ride with Mike Tomlin because unlike Steelers fans, I do actually appreciate him as a coach. Where do I have any other topics?
Did you do a hot take?
Yeah, GG, hot take.
Hot take. What are you gonna say? I'm gonna say Pickens finishes as a top 10 wide receiver. Is that a hot take?
That is flaming hot. Holy cow.
That's pretty hot. It's pretty hot, boy.
All right, I said it.
It happened. It's on now. It's recorded. It's
Yeah. When we come back and go over these takes in the middle of the season,
which we will.
We will test the takes segment coming during the
Dang.
season.
That was off cuff by Louie, by the way, guys. Like right off cuff. So we
The
love
marketing mind right there. All right. So Steelers, yeah, y'all gonna get after me. I'm gonna get text from Austin tonight. I have the Steelers going 8-9. That's my hot take. First losing season, but let me justify it. So I think there's going to be a lot of first and second year starters on this team. And I think they just have a really rock hard schedule against some really good teams inter-division. Kenny Pickett, second year starter. George Pickens, second year starter. Left tackle, first year starter. Cornerback, first year starter. Joey Porter Jr., right? So you've got a lot of these guys. TJ Watt held struggles. So I just think, like, I don't think they're going to be so bad, right? We're not talking about sellers at the deadline. So I don't think they're going to be looking to ship like Minka or any of those guys off. I just think it's going to get away from them on the front half as these rookies kind of get used to it. And I'll say Tomlin does a great job of prepping rookies to play, like probably one of the best in the league. I just think they have a really, like, you open against the Niners, that is going to be an absolute bloodbath, like a great defense if their new coordinator is good, and Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris, a kind of spotty line. I mean, it feels like a real smack to open the season. So yeah, that's my hot take. My player to watch is Najee Harris. I think he was really inefficient last year. Part of that was line. Part of that really just looked like his head wasn't in it. I don't know if he was letting a lot of the noise get to him. I like Najee. He seems like a real good guy. I'd like to see him just refocus, right? You have it in you. You did it your rookie season. Like, let's bring it back. Let's go 1,000 yards. I think their consistency on offense really rides or dies with him. And then my game to watch, I'm not backing off of it, even though Blake took it. I'm going Patriots because this feels like battle of the old heads. Two real defensive-minded guys with two really good defenses. It's late in the season, so I think, Joey Porter Jr. is going to be a little more accommodated. Hopefully TJ Watt's in this game, Alex Highsmith. I think there's like 6 interceptions and like 10 sacks in this game. That's what I would like to see. So I think, and I also Joey Porter Jr. and Gonzalez, right? I'm excited for that matchup. Those were my top 2 corners. They both fell way further than I thought they were going to. So Porter more for attributes and Gonzalez more for just sheer absolute baller. But yeah, I love defensive matchups. So week 1, that's also one of my must-watch games. That'll be on my red zone. Steelers, Niners. I just like defensive guy.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. So I think that the Steelers are going to go 9-8. I do think they're going to get over that hump.
Cowards.
I'm sorry. They went 9-8 last year, and they got better over the offseason. I think they got better at the offensive line. They got Isaac Seumalo from the Eagles, who's a really good offensive lineman. Interior, which helps your run game. I think that Broderick Jones is my I had him over Skaronson. Paris Johnson was my number one. Broderick Jones was my number 2 left tackle in the draft. Yes. I thought that he had pretty much everything going for him.
I think, yeah.
So personally, I will see how it translates, obviously, but at least prospect wise, I think that they nailed that pick. You get Joey Porter Jr., who is another really, really just polarizing pick there. If he's anything like his dad, that dude's going to be a sicko in the league. So they added some depth there. I think they got better over the off season. You add Pickett moving into his second year with Pickens. Nobody said a word about Deontay Johnson, who's filthy, by the way. I think he's one of the better route runners in the league. He had 0 touchdowns. Huh?
He lives 4 feet away from his cornerback. He has such good separation. Like he's just
crazy. He
is underappreciated.
Yeah, very, very much. One of the top 5 underrated players in this league, I would say. Had 0 touchdowns last year. I think there's massive regression. I'm sorry, massive regression towards the mean. So I think that he's more of a 6 to 8 touchdown guy. Last year, I'm pretty sure he got around 150 targets, which nobody wants to talk about. There was an extra 60 targets going his way. If that goes again this year, he catches around 100 balls a season, give or take. He's right around 1,100 yards. He has 8 touchdowns. That's a top 12 wide receiver, So Blake, I like your Pickens pick there. I think Johnson's the one who's the top 12 wide receiver. I also think he's the most polarizing player on this team right now. Because he's not a diva, but he's certainly one of their best players and one of their veteran players now. He's one of Tomlin's veteran guys, and he's going to be looked at as a leader in that on that team. And I do think that they've taken steps forward. I understand there are a lot of young players, but who like we're talking about, Tomlin's one of those guys who gets the most out of his players. So I think that he does that. Best game on the schedule for Pittsburgh for me.
No, he'll throw 3, and I'll let you do the math on that, Sor.
I like this Green Bay game. I like the Green Bay game. I think it's Kenny Pickett versus Jordan Love. There's 2 guys that are kind of unknown currently, but there was a lot of potential there. So there's 2 offenses that have a lot of decent players as well that haven't really taken the step forward. I think Aaron Jones is one of the underrated players in this league. So it's Aaron Jones, Deontay Johnson, Christian Watson, George Pickens. I think there's a lot of explosiveness in that game. So just underrated one. I'm looking at their schedule here that we haven't mentioned. So I like Green Bay. It's at home for Pittsburgh. One hot take. This one's easy because we talked about it earlier. Najee Harris regains his form and leads the league in rushing yards.
Woo, I'm getting spicy.
Yeah, I like that. If I had said that about Josh Jacobs, what would you have said to me last year?
That's fair.
The Raiders have a much worse offensive line than the Steelers currently do as well. So
that is the best argument I have heard towards us take that hot in a minute. So you know what? And he's coming up on bag season that he won't get. We talked about that earlier. So go earn your payday that'll never come, Najee.
Exactly. You got to show as much as you got. Time to get the bag. You're not going to get the bag, but you're going to get a little bit of the bag that they said you got, which is way larger, but then they took it away for you the year after they said they gave you.
You'll get that cup of spit. Don't worry. We'll ship it. Anyway, moving on. We're going to run this fast because we're already an hour and a half plus. So, Blake, when you say, I'm going to keep this short, you got to keep it short this time. Impact block, Bills, go.
Greg Russo.
All right, 30-second explanation.
That was too quick.
Too fast. Meet me in the middle here, brother.
He is going to probably have a little extra opportunity here. Von Miller says that he doesn't plan on starting the season on the PUP list today. I don't know if I believe that the way they've been signing players, and just the Bills' pass rush in general, outside of Von Miller, needs to take a step up. We really saw that when Von Miller went down, and I think Greg Russo is that guy. He needs to take the step from like a defensive end 2 to a defensive end 1, and I think that Leonard Floyd's going to be a huge addition too. And I think that it's really going to be it's a battle between AJ Epineza and Boogie Basham for that like last roster spot. I think it's probably going to be Boogie Basham that loses that battle and will end up getting traded at the end of preseason for another pick. Maybe we package one because we have 10 picks right now going into the next draft. Maybe we package Boogie Basham in a late round pick for a better pick. Cutting myself off. Moving on.
You know, say we started spiraling. We're talking. I don't even know who Basham is. That's how you know he's a fan, because I read so much about the NFL and I have never even heard of that guy.
Carlos Basham.
Yeah, but Boogie is a nickname. It's Carlos.
Okay.
He's out Forest.
Okay. Maybe I have heard of him. I was trying to think, like, I've never heard of another Boogie besides Booger McFarland.
Boogie is. Yeah, but
we're doing that spiraling thing again, guys.
Yeah. So my impact player for the Bills is Von Miller. I think he is going to help that defense take the next step to a powerhouse in the AFC to get over the hump. I think they're going to be competing with the Bengals this year. Anybody who knows, I made some predictions last year. I had the Chiefs not winning their division. I'm not going to be that stupid again, but I do think they'll be third behind the Bills and the Bengals in the AFC hierarchy this year. And I think Miller's going to be a huge part of that. So shave the triangle back into your head, brother. Let's get back on the field. Let's complete the Illuminati. Chiefs, Bengals, Bills.
So I'm a little split on my impact block here. I'm gonna say them both. It's Matt Milano for one. I think that he's the heart and soul of that defense as far as I'm concerned. He's running around doing everything at every level. Yep, that's the man. That's him. He's a dude.
One of the best linebackers in the NFL. If you haven't heard of it for 50 years.
He doesn't look like he can cover anybody, but he actually can cover people.
Boston College.
He's him.
Yeah, he is him. He's pretty good. Very underrated player. Doesn't get enough credit. Really good in coverage. Can play downhill.
Got that. Thank you.
JC. Pin this comment right now. I'm trying. I'm out here moving this clock. 145.
Do that.
We can do this.
So yeah, I'm literally almost done. And then the second one is going to be Damian Harris. If he is any bit the running back that he used to be on the Patriots, he could easily get you guys 8 to 10 more rushing touchdowns, take the load off of Josh Allen in those situational, just grind them down areas and take that wear and tear off of Allen, put him on Damian Harris. And if he gets hurt, get Latavius Murray in there because that man could still do the same thing too. So excellent. Just their backfield right now I might be the impact block as well. So I'm just going to, that's pretty much it. After that, just make sure you go follow at StadiumRant HQ. Go check out our website, StadiumRant.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. If you watch this, if you like this, if you think we're funny, if you think that we have good knowledge for football too. So
if
follow
practice chance at Belichick's Pit, the giveaway's coming. Tyler's going to get a restraining order when he goes to Gillette Stadium. You're going to say, hey, Bill, spit in this cup for the fans. I got you.
Who needs a Kittle jersey? We're giving you Bill Belichick spit next.
I'll put it in the vial so you can be the next, the big news story. Baby Gronk, you with a vial of spit.
I'm just waiting until you guys are done. Yeah. So if we could make that happen, I would do that giveaway. But it's okay. We can make that happen. So we'll leave you on the Belichick spit note, and we'll be back next week, fellas. Later, everybody.